The media is not what you think it is, and it's time we set the record straight. For decades, we saw the media as a public service, a trustworthy source of news here to inform us about all the things going on in our world. For decades, they could keep this illusion going because no one else was there to actually challenge their narrative. However, they told the story was how things were. Fast forward to the age of the internet, and now you have citizen journalists on YouTube getting just as many views, if not more views, than the mainstream media is. And the answer to why is pretty easy. They expect citizen journalists to have more of a complete story and more realistic outlook than the mainstream media will. The mainstream media isn't the trusted news source it used to be because people like you and me are going out there and proving that their narratives are complete falsehoods or at least biased tellings of a story. In doing so, we're learning that the mainstream media is more or less a source of news and more a form of entertainment. More accurately, entertainment with an agenda. To show you my point, we're going to look at the king of disaster porn, CNN. After Biden's first week in office, CNN's prime-time viewership dropped 44%, according to Variety. Variety didn't have solid evidence as to why this happened, but they had a really good guess. CNN had spent the last 4 years making Trump into this massive supervillain, and now, with him gone, the thing that really brought people to watch their television network was no more. Every story, every talking head, every expert that came onto CNN was geared toward making Trump seem like an evil dictator. CNN, the supposed news network, cast itself as one of the biggest points of resistance to the Trump presidency. Then, when Trump lost the 2020 election and Biden assumed office, many of CNN's viewers believed that the adults were now in charge and everyone was safe. Like the end of some epic movie, everyone could go home and live in peace. Funny enough, living in peace meant turning off CNN. With no more threat, there was no more reason for people to tune into CNN. Everything that had made the channel interesting was gone. In order to get them back, CNN would have to sensationalize a new issue or find a new villain. Do you see the issue now? CNN's primary export isn't news. It's sensationalism. It preys on your worries, your fears, or your anger using sensationalized stories to get your attention. If it bleeds, it leads. They fool you into thinking that you're watching news, but what you're really watching is a carefully crafted narrative to keep your eyes and ears glued to them, and their ratings up, and their ad revenue flowing. Their anchors are less like newscasters and more like actors in a drama. Take the harrowing tale of Chris Cuomo, for instance. Cuomo said he had been diagnosed with COVID and as a result had to do his show from his basement, where he claims he experienced the worst symptoms that COVID had to offer, including hallucinations and profuse sweating. But when the cameras turned off, Cuomo made his way to his East Hampton property where he got chewed out by a guy on a bike. And despite the fact that he got caught, and despite the fact that that story went viral, Chris Cuomo still pretended that he was coming out of his basement for the first time ever later on. So you see, CNN and really every major news organization is really just an entertainment company with a vested interest in making you watch. If it means playing up a tragedy or an event to make things even worse, then so be it. And if you need further proof, then look no further than the story of the Harvard economist Roland Fryer. Last year, when calls to defund the police were echoing throughout the nation, Fryer actually set out to see if police really did make things worse for the black community. What he found was the exact opposite. Without proactive policing, crime shot up big time. What he did find was that crime rates spiked in cities where stories had gone viral. Cities like Chicago, Baltimore, and Ferguson. In other words, cities where the mainstream media had gotten directly involved. Even more disturbing is that when Fryer took this information to the media, he reported that they had an absolute refusal to grapple with the data. Moreover, there was an insistence that he keep all of that information to himself. Remember that the media is not your friend. It's not a service. It is a business trying to sell you the apocalypse.